Everyone's saying it. The Pauper metagame is dominated by Writhing Chrysalis, and players are even splashing red just for the privilege of playing it. This single card has warped the metagame so much that some players are even pushing for a ban. This may all be true, but if it is, Skura definitely didn't get the memo. In a huge twist, he took Mono Blue Fae, a deck that Chrysalis apparently eats for lunch, to back-to-back amazing tournament finishes. Does he know something we don't? Let's take a look. Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Royce, and welcome to another Pauper video. I'm excited about this one because I'm going to be playing fast and loose. I'm just going to be admitting I don't know how to play this deck. I'm really playing it for the first time outside of a little bit of experience in tournament mode, so it kind of takes the edge off. It kind of takes the pressure off, you know? We're going to be learning it together. I'll of course still be talking through my plays, but I'm far from an expert, okay? But today we'll be playing Mono Blue Fae, and the reason is that the player Skura, or Islands in Front, recently brought this deck to a top 4 finish at Paupergeddon, the biggest Pauper tournament in the world, as well as a first place finish at Polish Nationals. And we're going to be looking at his list from Polish Nationals that he used to get first place with. So before I go any further into this very brief deck tech, I want to say that he has a ton of good resources out there if you want to learn this deck more. I'm going to be linking some of those in the description, including tournament footage, FAQs, gameplay. He has guides. He has a Patreon with a sideboard guide, which I haven't gotten to take a look at myself quite yet, but it seems like it's pretty great. A lot of people are excited about it, so definitely give him some attention. He's a content creator as well, so I'll be linking him in the description. But also I want to talk about this deck today because I think it's really interesting from a meta perspective, where I think that there is this common narrative right now that Writhing Chrysalis is so overpowering that it's bullying all these other decks out of the format. And I don't want to weigh in on whether that ought to be banned or not. I don't feel like that's something, the conversation I really want to engage in unless people are super interested in it. Notwithstanding whether or not it should be banned, I think this deck succeeding, in spite of the fact that Writhing Chrysalis is around, as a deck with a lot of these puny flyers that seems like it should be bullied out of the meta because of Chrysalis, is really interesting. Now you might say that Chrysalis bullies other decks more, maybe Borosynthesizer or something like that is hit harder by the existence of Writhing Chrysalis, but I just want you all to know that in spite of that card being amazing, this deck does still have legs and can still succeed in the current metagame. Let's quickly go through a couple of the picks in the deck. I'm not going to talk about them at length here. Again, check out Skura's links if you're interested, but I'm going to blow them up so you can read them as I go along. First, we have 4 copies of Brine Barrow Intruder, a great flash card that you can flash in if you decide that you don't need to use any of your instant speed interaction. So you can hold up Brine Barrow Intruder or Spell Pierce or Dispel or Counterspell, etc. It provides a lot of flexibility as well as some defensiveness, and it's really nice into mono red, by the way. 2 copies of Dispel, which is a new addition. This used to be the 3rd and 4th copy of Snaremaster Sprite. 4 copies of Fairy Miscreant, which you could replace potentially with some other small flyers if you are leaning less into the Fairy package. 4 copies of Fairy Seer, which is a great turn 1. Oftentimes we're able to keep a turn 1 if it has an island, a Fairy Seer, and a Moon Circuit Hacker. That's sort of the ideal, and then everything else is just gravy. Being able to keep 1 landers in this deck, at least occasionally, always feels great. 2 copies of Snaremaster Sprite, great for tapping things down, such as a Writhing Chrysalis, for example. Also, some other mid-sized threats are really troublesome for us, such as Core Skyfisher and the 2/3 flyer from Modern Age, so tapping down something like that can be helpful, or just something like a Refurbished Familiar to get in with a Fairy and make sure your ninjas can get through. 2 copies of Spell Pierce, just for 1 mana tempo in the early turns, really nice against an Ichor Wellspring. 4 copies of Moon Circuit Hacker, and 4 copies of Ninja of the Deep Hours. We're playing the full Ninja package, which is kind of required if you want to play the of 1 mines. I'll say in this deck, Moon Circuit Hacker has been the standout to me in the games that I've played, in the games that I've used it in. I think this card is so much better than than Ninja of the Deep Hours, but this card still does belong as a 4 of in my opinion. 4 copies of Snap, which is often a card that I'll take out in the sideboarding games, but this is really nice against those decks that can resolve a pesky blocker against your fairies, and also it doesn't lose you any tempo to play it, so this is sort of what you can use to cash in on all of the extra card advantage that you get from the Moon Circuit Hackers, Ninjas of the Deep Hours, and of One Mind. For Spell Stutter Sprite, of course, a counterspell on legs is really nice. That also gives you a flyer that you can bounce back for ninjas and get more and more value off of the Spell Stutter. 4 copies of Counterspell, and 4 copies of One Mind. Now, there are a couple of omissions, things that we're not playing in the deck. I think the biggest one is Mutagenic Growth. Other players have had good success with Mutagenic Growth, including Kerblinksie, so I don't want to remark on which deck is better. I haven't played enough of it to know, but I think the argument against Mutagenic Growth is it's just a bit situational and a bit low value, and it doesn't really do anything to progress your board state unless you get into certain combat situations. And it doesn't help you avoid a lot of the removal that's currently in the format. In the sideboard, it's very clean, partially because blue does not have a lot of sideboard options. There's a ton of Affinity Hate, with 4 Annul, as well as a Steel Sabotage, as well as some other cards that you can sideboard against Affinity if you want to. We have Bind the Monster, which could be replaced with Unable to Scream or Witness Protection, but the argument for Bind the Monster is that although the creature can continue to use its ability, and although you do take damage when you play Bind the Monster, if you use Witness Protection or Unable to Scream on a Writhing Chrysalis, they can just, in response, crack the spawns and then grow it by +1/+1 for each spawn that they crack. And then those cards just set its base stats to a 1/1 or a 0/2, so you'll still have a big pesky blocker in your way that's blocking all of your ninjas. The argument for Bind the Monster is it sort of takes it out permanently, although it can still use the abilities. 4 copies of Blue Elemental Blast, as well as 2 copies of Hydro Blast, mostly in here for mono red, also decent against Affinity and some other decks, as well as Rakdos Madness. 1 copy of Dispel against other blue decks and also Affinity. And then 1 Snare Master Sprite for decks with big blockers like I was talking about. I think this is probably at its strongest against Gruul Ramp, if I had to guess. So there's the deck tech right there. I'm going to keep it pretty short. Again, check out Skura if you want to know more about this deck. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. If you like this Pauper content and want to see more Pauper content just like this, please leave a like, a comment, and a subscription. It really helps me in the channel, and I will see you in the games. Welcome into the first match of this Pauper League with Blue Fae. We are going up against somebody whose name I can't pronounce, so we'll just leave that there. What I'm assuming is true, the way that I've been playing this deck is I have been keeping hands that have a single land with a Faeries here. I don't know if that is necessarily correct. Maybe you want to be more aggressive in looking for a ninja, like a Moon Circuit Hacker, but I think I'm supposed to keep this. We are going second, by the way. We're up against another island deck. Alright. So I think I'm just going to tap out here and play the Faeries here. I know it can get force spiked or something like that, but I think we need to set up our draws. And there's an island. That's pretty good. No ninja yet, but not the worst news. And we don't really need a third counter spell. So let's just take the land and pass. What I find is that these games are very snowbally. They're often decided in the first couple of turns. If the opponent is able to resolve a large threat, if you have to tap out at the wrong moment, things can go badly for you. You do have some comeback potential with Snare Master Sprite and Snap, but it's hard. You want to keep them off the board in the first place while simultaneously being aggressive. It's a tough road to navigate. So there's our second land. We knew about that. So I'm definitely attacking here, of course. There is a question of whether I should put down a Snare Master Sprite. That would improve my clock a bit, but I think that I would rather just hold up Spell Stutter Sprite or Counterspell or Brinebarrow Intruder. So I'm just going to attack. I can flash in a Brinebarrow Intruder and not completely waste this mana even if I don't have to counter something with one of these 3 cards. So I'll just get in. Unfortunately, no ninja. And blue decks do have a hard time with ninjas, so I would like to have one, but them's the breaks. And they're flashing in their own Spell Stutter Sprite, which is interesting. So I think I just need to keep that off the board, flash mine in response, improve my own clock, and reduce their ability to get ninjas. They're just going to pass, leaving 2 mana open. Okay, so probably a counter spell or maybe another Spell Stutter Sprite, perhaps. We keep hitting land drops. That part is nice. I'm going to go ahead and I could put down this Snare Master Sprite, but I think honestly at this point they're just looking to get some value out of another Spell Stutter. They would have flashed in a Brinebarrow Intruder if they had it, but they didn't. So I think that they, They're just desperately trying to flash in this other spell stutter sprite. I don't want to give them value. Yep, there we go. So I could counterspell this for sure. That might make sense just to sort of keep them off the board. I think I'll do it. I don't think I need to hold 2 counterspells. And then I think I'm going to just flash in this Brinebearer Intruder right now while they're tapped out. So here they have the opportunity to just sort of hardcast a Moon Circuit Hacker or something like that, but that would not be the worst. And they're just going to play down a Spell Stutter sprite at sorcery speed while I'm tapped out. So they open with 3 Spell Stutters, and they need to get in with these to get their ninjas online. We can deal with that right now with our flying threats, or we could just tap this down, honestly. If they need this Spell Stutter sprite to, you know, start to fix their draws, I think I'm okay just going in with with the Snare Master sprite here. We do, of course, need to get some value ourselves at some point, and maybe going below Counterspell is a mistake, but I don't know if they really have anything that they're, you know, a great way to spend their mana right now. So I'm okay just going on the aggressive, shutting this off for a little while, and let's attack. I could play down the other Snare Master, and let me do the math after combat here. So right now I have a 4-turn clock. If I play the Snare Master, it's down to 5, but realistically probably below that. What sorts of things would I want to be tapping down, huh? Not too much, to be honest with you. I think just getting on the board is correct. Although it does feel a little bit all in, and as we can see, I am out of cards in hand. So in this next turn, I do have 5 attacks, but I might want to leave 1 back to block their Spell Stutter. That's possible. Dispel is definitely interesting, so I could use that. So if I counterspell and they fight it, I could dispel it back. I think I'm just going to swing 4 here. I do want to have a blocker for the Spell Stutter, and then I have Dispel to fight their Snap or something like that. Let's leave back the one Snare Master. And they didn't use that mana. Okay. So here, if they attack, I'm kind of expecting a Brinebearer Intruder, but that would be fine because I could just counterspell back. They do find their 3rd land, so they can start to work on just hard casting a Ninja of the Deep Hours, which I wouldn't mind too much. Fairy Miscreant is okay. Let's start by attacking with doing the same attack. I will say I don't have a lot for the mirror here, so they're going to block. I'll accept that trade. Then if they flash in a Brinebearer, okay. I was going to say I will counterspell that. Let's put down a Miscreant. If they use Spell Stutter number 4, I can counter that. And if they use a Counterspell, I'll just dispel that. Miscreant does resolve. Currently on a 2-turn clock. And I still have my own Counterspell. That will deal with the Hardcast Ninja of the Deep Hours if they find it. Dimir Aqueduct. We're against Dimir Fae. Very interesting. So, maybe we should be expecting Snuff Outs, Cast Downs, definitely Suffocating Fumes, right? So they're going to decline to tap their land before bouncing it. So with that said, I might need to keep this counterspell just to deal with the sweeper. I can still ninjutsu in my Moon Circuit Hacker, though. So let's attack. And what do I bounce? I'm not afraid of Gurmag Angler, so I don't think I desperately need to tap something down. I think I'm going to bounce the Faeries here, just to improve my card quality over the next couple of turns. We are 1 damage off lethal, but no way to push extra. And at this point, I think if they flash in something at the end step, I think I let it happen, just to leave up Counterspell for something more impactful. There's another Counterspell, that's fine. And we'll put down a Faeries here. And let's find more ninjas. We don't really need more lands. Are they going to have a counter? That's totally fine. Alright, your move. And they scoop. Alright, pretty good in the mirror. Not the exact mirror, it is Dimir Fae, so we have to keep that in mind. I think this is absolutely a Dispel matchup. And it could honestly be a good Bind the Monster matchup as well, just to keep them off of their ninjutsu, or to tap down a... How do these work? One of this deals combat damage. This is not considered combat damage, so I think I like Bind the Monster in this matchup. Snap is probably not great. It's not the worst, but I think I would rather have the rest of these cards. So we'll take out at least 2 Snap. Is there anything else I want to drop in the Fae matchup? Honestly, I think I'm just going to go down to 0 Snap and put in an extra Snare Master Sprite. They serve sort of a similar purpose, but Snare Master is sort of more consistent aggression and combat damage, so I will go for that instead. We managed to take the game when we went second, so let's see if we can do it again. We do still have one game left in the tank. Really quick, while the opponent is deciding, I don't think any of these other cards make sense. Annul is okay. Well, it counters an enchantment. It doesn't destroy an enchantment, so I can't even use this against the Moon Circuit Hacker. So let's hope we have a keepable 7. This looks middling, but I think with the Brine Barrow into a turn 2 ninja, it's okay. I'm not excited about it, though. If we can resolve this stuff, you know, this is going to be a game where we have to let some stuff through. Oh, I'm happy to see Preordain instead of a Faeries here. That's good. I mean, honestly, I only saw Spellstutter sprites. I didn't see other Faeries, I think, so this could be a no ninja deck. This could just be Dimir Control. So let's keep that in mind. So far, I think everything I saw them play does exist in Dimir Control. They just, the way it unfolded made it look like Faeries. So we'll keep that in mind for sure. This is good. We get to leave up Spell Pierce or flash in our Brine Barrow Intruder. So against Dimir Control, we're going to have to worry about Sneaky Snackers for sure. Those can sort of block our stuff down for a while. I think priority things to counter would be like the Modern Age. I think Brainstorm is fine. And we'll just flash in the Brine Barrow Intruder into a Ninja. That means we'll have to tap out on 3. On turn 3 in this matchup, they only have one untapped Black Source. They usually just play one Swamp, otherwise it's Contaminated Aquifers and Dimir Aqueducts. So their turn 3 play would be a 2-mana blue play, or sorry, a 2-mana, regardless it would be only blue, unless they find their one of Swamp. But they'll be somewhat restricted if they want to branch into their other colors. Because they Brainstormed, I am expecting a Lorien Revealed here, since they don't have a fetch land in play. It could be, we could be against a Terror version that's playing Thought Scour, so that's also possible. And I know it's not exciting, but I think I need to go ahead and just drop the Ninja here. And by not exciting, I mean it's a little, you know, risky, of course, to tap out, but we are the aggressor in this matchup, especially if they are a control deck and not even really a Fae deck at all, or not a pure Fae deck. So we have to challenge them to deal with our stuff, and we have to draw into additional threats. Maybe next turn we can start to hold up counter spells and stuff with, you know, by playing one fairy a turn and holding up counter spell or spell stutter. Let's go ahead and pass. And no Lorien revealed. That's really interesting. So they just had to blind Brainstorm. Have they missed a land drop? That's a question. It's also possible that they just, you know, like all the cards that are in their Brainstorm. That's fine. Yeah, we pass, and then we can... There's a Bind the Monster. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this out in Game 3. I think against a non-Fae deck it's less important. Although it is actually okay against Sneaky Snacker, you know? It's going to just, like, you know, get it stuck on the board. What are they going to do? So I can play a Snare Master Sprite here. Maybe I should be doing all of this post-combat. I don't think they have a way in just blue to deal with this Ninja. If they're playing the typical, like, Dimir Control. Will this eat a counterspell? Let's see. I'm okay just holding up Spell Pierce or Brine Barrow Intruder on this turn. I think anything too troublesome, we can just Spell Pierce if it's like a sweeper. They are considering, and they let that through. Okay, let's attack, and oh, unfortunately, we're gonna be discarding a card here. That's not amazing. I was doing the math a bit incorrectly. Oh, are they just gonna flash in a spell stutter to block with? To eat my draw? No, they just chose to do it then to be confusing. Okay, that's fine. Yes, use the ability. I mean, would they be flashing in these spell stutter sprites so readily if they didn't have ninjas? That's a question. Alright. So, I think here, since I'm gonna discard anyway, I could bind the monster on their spell stutter sprite. That's possible, although now I know that they might have Sneaky Snackers. I'm a little bit scared of it. I think I'm gonna Fairy Seer. I am developing further into a potential, you know, Fumes or Arms of Hadar or something like that. But I think it's okay. I don't think we need another of one mind, but I will take the island. So yeah, definitely I would want to go back to that turn to say if it was correct, considering that I drew to 8. They're on 4 mana, so let's see if they have the Arms of Hadar. They found it. Okay. I think that's alright. I mean, it's a bit of a blowout, but we can redevelop. I think it'll be okay. What we now need to be afraid of, since we don't have any pressure, is the Monarch. So I need to start leaving up interaction for that, which means Counterspell. So I think I'm just going to play this land and take it really slow here. Plan to just flash in this Brinebarrow Intruder, maybe the Spellstutter Sprite if they try to preordain or something like that, or Brainstorm. If they Ninja this, I don't care too much because I can just Brinebarrow Intruder the Ninja. So they do have a Shuffle now for a Brainstorm, and they also have 5 mana to hardcast a Lorien Revealed if they want. To claw back all of this, all the value, since they already took away my board. We'll take 1. No blocks. Alright, let's put down a Brinebarrow Intruder. I know, of course, that I could have used this to prevent 1 damage, but if they did have a Ninja, I wanted to save it. Do I flash in a Spellstutter here? No, because they could end step Suffocating Fumes, and Spell Pierce would not be enough. What else am I doing? Alright. I'm going to risk it for the risk it for the biscuit. It's exactly Suffocating Fumes here. I think they play 2 copies. If they Fumes this, they're going to use their own Spellstutter. Ah, I wasn't even thinking about that. Okay, well, that's bad. That's bad. Let's see here. I definitely still have a chance. These Spellstutter Sprites are not really doing anything. They're not advancing their game plan in any way. So I can take things a bit slow. They can definitely Spellstutter the 3rd of 1 mind here, which I could respond to with a Spell Pierce, but I probably wouldn't want to try that because I need to hold up Counterspell for the Monarch. Let's just see if we can draw 2. Interesting. They're leaving it. Okay. Are they going to leave open their Contaminated Aquifer? Okay, they're going to let this through. That's fine. And then I can pass. Should I attack? Yeah, I think every point of damage matters. They could Unexpected Fangs, I guess. Man, calling the shot on the Arms of Hadar, but still having them do it is a little bit disappointing. But that's how it goes. My take was that it was a threat that I could come back from, and it is looking like that's true. 2 mana. Wither in Bloom? That's fine. They are so low on value right now. So priority hit here is absolutely the Monarch. Hopefully they don't have backup for it with a Spell Pierce, a Dispel, or whatever. I could Brinebarrow a Ninja here, if they have one. This is looking like Dimir Control, though, to me. Not a Ninja deck. Alright, end step, we will flash in the Brinebarrow. They definitely have a faster clock than me right now, but that's, not going to be forever. This actually played into Spellstutter number 3, I suppose. Snuff Out is fine. I am happy with this. Alright, so we can start holding up Counterspell plus Spell Pierce, which is going to be nice. Let's go ahead and play a Faeries here. Hopefully this resolves. Good. Okay. Another Faeries here is great, and a Brinebarrow Intruder is great. Would I rather have ninjas? I think just getting creatures is fine. Maybe I should have put Faeries here under Brinebarrow Intruder. Here's a question. Should I be binding the monster on a Spellstutter? I think that's fine, just to reduce their clock. I don't want this to chip in for 1 a turn over 3-4 turns while I can't really deal with it. But as soon as I'm forced to bite the bullet and use this Counterspell and or Spell Pierce, at that point I am nearly completely out of stuff. I'm going to be hitting in for up to 3 damage per turn soon, so that'll be nice. Wither in Bloom is this instant speed? No, it's not instant speed. Nevertheless, I have the Brinebarrow Intruder for this exact occasion, so we'll just take the 1. They have a Brainstorm. Brainstorm is fine. So Wither in Bloom, by the way, I think is biasing me a little bit more towards the possibility that they have Tolarian Terrors, just because it's something that you would want to mill. But non-terror decks still play the graveyard synergies. Please, Lorien Revealed. I would be so happy. I'm happy about that too. Cool. Taking Mystic off the board is really important. Do they have the Dispel? They do, and I have the Spell Pierce. So at this point, getting some card advantage, climbing out of this hole is going to be really important. So I might be ditching the Brinebearer Intruder for a Ninja. I'll have to see. Let's play this first and see what we're working with. Definitely not an island. Do I keep the Brinebearer Intruder? I think it's okay. It does improve. So right now I have a 6-turn clock. This would change me to a... Right now I'm attacking with for 1. So after this turn it would be a 5-turn clock. With this it'll be 4. I think I like this more than a blind draw, to be honest with you. So I'll attack. And at this point I'm not going to play the Bind the Monster. I need to use that on a more important threat, like locking down a Sneaky Snacker or like a Modern Age or something like that. As long as they don't top deck Lorien. Oh, goodness. I was going to say, if they don't top deck Lorien, I will be so happy. Alright, that was perfect for them. So, all of a sudden, they can do everything. But, I did keep the... Okay, we'll take the 1. I did keep the Brinebearer on top, so I do have a clock. But now I can't just be throwing this Bind the Monster at their Spell Stutter willy-nilly. This thing doesn't matter. Found a land. Okay. So they cannot counterspell the Brinebearer. Let's attack. And should I risk Brinebearer getting countered? I think I should, just because they have so much hard removal. They're not solely reliant on counter magic, that I'm willing to try to play this and get some value out of it. So far, we've seen 1 Snare Master Sprite. That's a comeback card that can, you know, eke in a little bit of damage. We've seen 2 copies of One Mind. So that's 4 cards right there that can help, even if they start to really climb out of this hole. And another Lorien Reveal definitely will help them. But they can't pair that with a big threat. The closest would be like a Sneaky Snacker, which I'm totally fine with because of the Bind the Monster. Alright, let's try the Brinebearer. I mean, it's susceptible to anything. But if it resolves, then I at least don't take this damage. If I was going to Brinebearer, that might have been a reason to leave up Faeries here, but I feel like that would have been obvious. Snuff out. Going down to 4. Okay. Sure. So I have a 2-turn clock. Let's get a good top deck. I'm expecting them to cast down a Fairy here. Oh, they are playing Fairy Seers. Okay. Okay. Good to know. So probably Bind the Monster on that, just to push in for 2. And then we can start doing... We don't have snaps. We can start doing sneaky things with Snare Master Sprite and stuff after that. They are below... Fairy Seer is a good draw. They can't dispel this enchantment. Does what I get off of the Fairy Seer impact anything? I think it does. I think I can play the Fairy Seer first. Spell Stutter and Miscreant are both good. I think Miscreant is mid, though. I guess I'll take the Spell Stutter, just to be tricksy. And I'm going to Bind the Monster. And then try to get in for 2. Currently, I am showing lethal if I actually get in for 2 here and they don't play anything. So this is... I'd say this is a 50-50 scenario here. It does help that so much of their draw was into more draw. I mean, it helps and it doesn't, right? Because it does mean they were able to sort of chain off, but they had to like spend so much of their tempo just drawing cards. I don't think they have anything, yep. And now if they Murmuring Mystic, I mean, it would probably be enough, but it could still be close. They need the right combination of cards here. A land is not really what they want. Augur of Bolas is good, though. That's good. But it's not a blocker for a flyer. So they need to pick up a Snuff Out or a Cast Down or a Wither in Bloom here. Or... Preordain does not do it, but it can help them dig. There's the Preordain. And they're going to go 1 top, 1 bottom. So they did find something usable. Either some more card draw or a blocker. Okay, makes sense. A lot of fixing here. 2 top. Okay, that's spooky. And 2 mana. Wither in Bloom on the Fairy Seer. Fine. Okay, so I can push 1 damage here. They went 2 to top, but they did not draw either of those cards. Those are good cards. Currently, I can Spell Stutter Sprite on the Monarch or on a Murmuring Mystic. I think I need to pass and hope they make a mistake. Because right now, I just get through with 1. And they're definitely going to leave up this Fairy Seer as a blocker, right? They went 2 to top. If my Spell Stutter Sprite doesn't resolve, or if they play another flying blocker, then I am in trouble. I think it's best for me to actually use this Spell Stutter Sprite for value, make sure I can do something with it. I can't do anything about Alorian revealed, but anything else I can counter right now. I'm fine with the land. They can attack for 1. That's okay. And if they Unexpected Fangs, then I will Spell Stutter that. Alright, now I think I need to do it. They have 1 card in hand. Is it a counter spell? Is it a removal? Let's find out. A Ninja is very good. That means I can push 1 more damage. Now do they have the Unexpected Fangs? That would be spooky. That would mean they take 2 but go up by 3. So they're at 3. Okay. I didn't put in my Ninja. I'm an idiot. I thought it was over. Okay. Yep. I saw lethal. Wait, no, we can do it now. We can do it now. My mistake. We can do it now. Big brain. It worked. That shows you how new I am to this deck. Alright, we did it. GG's. That was grindy. Ultimately a 2-0, though. Felt pretty good. Let's move on to the next game. We are going into our second round, this time versus Ice Thanatos. And we won the die roll, so pretty good, pretty good. I have a turn 1 Fairy Seer. I just about want to snap keep this, but let's consider it a little bit more. I can get a human and a non-human for this of 1 mind, or I can turn 2 Ninja of the Deep Hours. I have plenty of options, and I'm starting off, so let's keep this. They're going to be on a mulligan, so against that, especially if they are playing a tap land type deck, I'll probably want to... I might want to counter on 2. Probably is, a strong word. But I can counter, or I can put in the Brine Barrow, etc., so I think it's fine. And let's go ahead and... Another island is okay. I don't think I really need it right now. But I will take the Seer. Right now I think 2 lands is just enough, and I'll have time to pick up another one with that Seer, most likely. A forest, okay. Into an Arbor Elf. Got it. So I'm expecting enchantments, so we can deal with that. Interestingly, we can also bind the monster this thing. So maybe that's a good side-in, and it will prevent it from, tapping to untap forests. Is it safe to just put down another Fairy Seer and just plant a Brine Barrow? No, I don't think that makes sense. I think we need to probably hold up a counter spell here. A Spell Pierce would be really handy in this situation for to hit their enchantment. We also might need to counterspell a Writhing Chrysalis, so I'm just going to attack. So maybe on second thought, just keeping the native 3rd land drop would have been good if I had sort of predicted I wouldn't really be... I'd be taking this turn off. Okay. Although I do have the of 1 mind to help. If I get to flash in the Brine Barrow Intruder, then I can just of 1 mind and hopefully hit a land drop that way, maybe pair it with a Fairy Seer. But I think I just want to of 1 mind on its own to draw into an island, play it, and then I can counterspell the turn after. But let's see if they do something that I have to deal with first. So is it better to counter the enchantment, or is it better to counter the thing they play? I think it's the enchantment. Even though they can ramp into 4 mana this way, currently they don't have a way to get red. So they could Arbor Elf into a Wild Growth or something like that, but they don't, so I don't think they have one. So that's good. I wasn't able to flash in the Brine Barrow, though. With another counter spell, that's interesting. I could counter the next thing they drop. Honestly, weirdly enough, I think I'm okay with it. Like, they have a little bit of a clock on me, but I don't really care. This isn't going to last forever. And again, I can just flash in the Brine Barrow Intruder again if I have to. But if I can counterspell their, Crew Shock or Avenging Hunter or something like that, then I'm in a great spot. Jewel Thief? That's fine as well to counter, I think. Yeah, I just need to tempo him out. And that's also another source of red mana, so they still can't boarding party here. Alright, so now I think I will just ninja in the Moon Circuit Hacker to give me the greatest level of flexibility. Yes. It's a Dispel, which doesn't do much. So those are going to be coming out. And at this point, should I just play another Fairy Seer, or should I Brine Barrow Intruder? I think Fairy Seer is the best. Brine Barrow Intruder isn't doing anything really meaningful to their board. Another land is good, and a Spell Pierce is good. What order do we want them in? Actually, a Spell Pierce is not good anymore. It doesn't even, that's good on turn 2, but after that, not really. So I'll keep the island. Keep that simple. And pass. Another Jewel Thief. Okay, that's a little bit problematic. So they have 3 mana still between the Arbor Elves and the Treasure Token. Let's see if they go for a Malevolent Rumble. Or maybe just another Jewel Thief or Eldrazi Repurposer. At least those things don't have reach, so that's nice. A Ram Through. Okay. Yep, that works. There's an instant. So now they have access to 6 mana, they can play their boarding party. Not too much I can do about that, I think. What do I need at this point? So I could just hard cast the Brine Barrow here and draw 2. Or I could Ninja in the Ninja of the Deep Hours, but then I could only replay the Fairy Seer, I couldn't draw off of it. I think that's still for the best. I think it's Ninja here, see what I draw. I do have to worry about this 3/3 now. I'm going to have to start worrying about it at least. Draw a card. Moon Circuit Hacker is fine. Then what do I do? Probably just Brine Barrow Intruder to save 3 life. I could also use it to chump the boarding party if I feel like I have to. Assuming they have one, they might not have it. Alright. So they could definitely use another Ram Through in response here. I noticed that they are not attacking with their Arbor Elves, so they're planning to do something big in second main phase. But it's not a boarding party because they would have done that already. Maybe an Avenging Hunter? Avenging Hunter. Okay. So I currently don't have the ability to get past these things, which is unfortunate. But I have draws for it. I could potentially find a Snap or a Snare Master Sprite. Spell Starter Sprite is not going to do it. So let's go ahead and Fairy Seer and look for something that can help. I think the game, to my chagrin, has gotten a little bit out of control. Fairy Miscreant and Moon Circuit Hacker, I don't need any of either of these at this point. Let's put those on the bottom. And let's cast an Of One Mind. Alright, that's pretty bad. Okay. At this point, it's best to just go a little bit wider, make it so I can take back the initiative potentially, and set up next turn. But I think that I've probably lost it here. I don't think it's a situation where I can take a card that's just okay. I think I specifically need protection at this point. My life total is definitely in jeopardy. There's going to be swinging for 10 here. 10 trample. I don't think the Brine Barrow is going to suffice. But I will be able to get my natural draw and draw off of a Ninja, so that'll help. Let's see if they distribute the damage. Because of a potential snap, they do. Okay. And they leave it on the vigil. They put it on the vigilance thing. That makes sense. They found a boarding party or Writhing Chrysalis. Okay. That's bad news. Bad news bears. Annoyed Altasaur. Oh. Even worse, arguably. At least it's into a bad cascade, so that's something. But the Altasaur itself is definitely a problem. I could kill the Jewel Thief by throwing everything in front of it, and I would lose... I would get to keep a Fairy Seer. Or I could kill the Avenging Hunter by throwing the Ninja of the Deep Hours and 2 things in front of it, but either way, I would lose 3 things, which would not allow me to take the initiative back. So I think I have to take this damage. This is lost, but I'm just trying to play to my outs and see if there might be something, and I think my out is to not block. Alright, I think that island, even though I still have a Ninja draw, means I'm just going to concede. I don't want to waste more mental energy in this game. So, next game. Do I bring in Bind the Monster? It's good against Chrysalis. I think that's what this is in the sideboard for, so let's do it. They are playing Boarding Party as the only red card. So that doesn't make sense. They are on Dispel, but I think I'm honestly taking out Dispels, not putting more in. I think another Snare Master Sprite is good. This auto hover thing is bothering me. It's so delayed. Alright, do I put in Annulls specifically for land enchantments? I don't think that makes any sense. I think I just have to go faster than them and bully them out of the game. Come on. Can you stop that? It's not letting me click the cards. Take it out. Take it out. Okay, there we go. There we go. Take out the Dispels and take out Do I take out a Spell Pierce? Or is it good enough in the early game that I should keep it? It might be good enough in the early game. What's the worst card here? Maybe Of One Mind? Maybe Of One Mind. I'm between Of One Mind and Spell Pierce. I think I'm going to go with Of One Mind, because that will reduce my overall value in the late game. But if they can make it onto the board, then I've already lost. So I think this is a great hand. I have a 1 mana play into a Ninja, which is all I can ask for. I also have Bind the Monster, and they've had to mulligan to 6. So I have a chance here. So by the way, Bind the Monster, according to Skura, did they just change this? That's weird. Was chosen because it can tap down a Chrysalis, whereas the other cards that sort of for 1 mana at sorcery speed transform something into a little guy, will leave it untapped. So the Chrysalis player can just tap 2, or can just sack 2 spawns in response to Witness Protection or whatever the other one is, Unable to Scream, and either get a 2/4 or a 3/3 that still fights on the board. So that's the reasoning. What we're looking for is hopefully a cheap Fairy to pair with the Of One Mind here. So if they're going to turn 1 tap land, then I think, I've just got to go with this Ninja. Really no decision there. So let's attack. Moon Circuit Hacker. Hopefully find a land, right? Yes, use the ability. Don't find a land. Okay. And we'll pass. We can still do stuff with 1 mana, just not as much as we would like to. If they go into an Arbor Elf here, we can bind the monster it down. Really cut them off. Utopia Sprawl, sure. So they have 2 different lands that can tap for red mana. Do they have a Malevolent Rumble? They do. Okay, pretty good for them. What do they find? I really need more lands at this point. They probably take a Jewel Thief, right? Just to start fighting as early as possible. Their spawn means that I won't be able to get in with my hacker, so I can just sort of get stuck without much ability to do much. I could cash in the Bind the Monster to... no, they choose the Hydra. Interesting. So they already have their mid-range plan set up, or they can just ramp that fast. Interesting. Well, let's just challenge them with this, see what they do. Are they going to block? They don't block. Okay, so I get another look. That's good. And an island. Perfect. All right, well, what's the worst card here? I was about to say Fairy Miscreant, but I think it's actually the 3rd Moon Circuit Hacker. So we will drop that, and then play our island, and then at instant speed we can flash in our Brine Barrow Intruder if we get to. So them preserving their spawn there means that they have a high priority turn 4 or turn 5 play. Wild Growth is, I think, has to be fine. I could Spell Stutter this, and then they could drop a Jewel Thief. How much do I hate that? It's annoying, but it means that I actually get value out of this Spell Stutter where that's difficult to do. And then maybe they were just counting on having that mana this turn to play a turn 4 thing, or to play a 4 mana thing. So now they're forced to play a Jewel Thief or Eldrazi Repurposer instead. Which means that I can Ninja this Spell Stutter into Moon Circuit Hacker number 2. But then I have to go below Counterspell, but that looks really good if I draw a 3rd land immediately. They go for a Malevolent Rumble, fine. Leaving open red. They still have the Hydra, by the way. Cast into Fire goes away. Which one do you want? Probably just a land, right? So you have 2 more mana remaining after that. Unless they already had one. They choose a forest, sure. So they could go with another Rumble here, potentially. The way that they're still stacking up their mana means I think I need to leave up Counterspell unless I draw an island immediately. Fiery Cannonade. They had enough mana for that? I guess they did. Okay. That happens. And they've played their forest. They have a Nyxborn and 2 unknowns. I think one of them is a Chrysalis, potentially. Ooh. That's tough. I think I have to pass here. Again, it's going to be Counterspell or Flash in a Brine Barrow. That has to be fine, I think. They can have the mana. So they have one thing they can do here. Probably. Utopia Sprawl green, sure. They've got enough red mana on the table. I think I have to snap counter either creature. either a Nyxborn Hydra or another big creature if they play one. Writhing Chrysalis. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Counter. And of course this means they still get the spawn, so they can still put out a Nyxborn Hydra. But that's all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the Nyxborn Hydra will be a 7/8. Is that right? 7 counters. It'll be a 7/8, which is a problem. Although I can tap it down now that I think about it. So you know what? I think this turn I am playing... I mean, what else am I going to do, right? I'm not spell stuttering anything meaningful. I'm going to bind the monster and take 7. But I think it's the best thing I can do. So let's go ahead and just Fairy Miscreant and flash in a Brine Barrow Intruder. And if they bestow one of their Eldrazi spawns, that's also fine. I can get some value off of the Brine Barrow, use it to take less damage. They might do that. I would probably do that. Oh, but what they can do is they can just sacrifice the Eldrazi spawn. Oh, okay. Well, regardless, even so, let me think about that interaction in a second. So this is going to be a... will this also be a 5/6? It'll be a creature with 5 counters. Yeah, it'll still be a 5/6. So we'll take 3. I could snap and counter it, for sure. Right now, this is not super threatening, to be honest with you. So I think what I want to do is of one mind. There's a snap. That's good, right? Well, they just... it's not good, but it's good in combination with the bind the monster. So let's just ninja in the Moon Circuit Hacker here. Hit for 2, draw a card. Another island is good. And then we'll just flash in the Brine Barrow again to reduce the damage output. They have this now, so they have 2 unknowns. I'm kind of, like, clocking them, which is interesting. I don't think I should double block just to save 3 life here. 2 mana. Another Fiery Cannonade. Okay, that's good. That happens. So let me think about the best way to deal with this. So if I bind the monster on it, I'll go down to 9. What they should do is they should let it resolve, and then later they should sacrifice to still have their Nyxborn Hydra around. If I snap, then they just sacrifice it immediately. I don't get the mana off of snap, but I can bind the monster afterward. I think I should snap first. Oh. Okay. They were F6'd, fine. And then let's... do we do it now? I think so. Bind the monster. We take 5. Play a land. Play a Miscreant. Leave up Spell Stutter on a Rumble. We're still in trouble, though. Because any big threat will be a big problem. Although at least I have the answer for land enchantments and Malevolent Rumble. Okay, I can deal with this. We'll just take any Spell Stutter value we can find. And then we'll pick it back up and put this ninja in. Hopefully no 3rd Fiery Cannonade. They might have it. I just have to run it. If they Fiery Cannonade here, I can... no, it's not a targeting thing. I can't ninja in if they have a sweeper. Alright, Counterspell is good. It's very good. Play a land and pass. I can counter the half of a Cascader. Or another big Nyxborn or something. There's just something about Gruul Ramp that feels so unwinnable when you're just kind of like pinging them down by like a couple points per turn, and at any point they can just have like a huge thing that will end your life. It's sort of funny. Counterspell the Chrysalis. They'll still have 4 damage on board, so they can put another Chrysalis into play. Or 4 mana on board. They can block the card draw with an Eldrazi spawn for sure. Don't really need the island. Might as well play it, I guess. I don't have any Moon Circuit Hackers in sight. Let's attack. Almost definitely gonna ninja in this Ninja of the Deep Hours. If they have another Fiery Cannonade, they have it. Hopefully not. Nice. Draw a card. Yes, use the ability. Counterspell, perfect. Do I need to leave up Spell Stutter and Counterspell? I think that's a little too cute, and Spell Stutter is not doing much right now, just countering land enchantments or Arbor Elf. It doesn't even counter Ram through. Let's put down a Fairy Miscreant. And this is a situation where I'm definitely not flashing in the Spell Stutter. I need to use this, I think. Of One Mind is great. Let's see if we can resolve another Fairy to make it so we don't lose to a Fiery Cannonade. Good. And we draw a card too. Amazing. And let's attack. And I can do tricky clock things, even if they can reduce my clock by blocking by flashing in these sprites at the end step or something like that, if I have to. Yes. Alright, double counterspell. Amazing. That works against a Cascader. Let's pass. Down to 9 minutes, so definitely have to play game 3 at a decent pace here. Avenging Hunter, that's going to be a counterspell. Right? Yeah. Alright, let's sideboard. So, what do we think here? Again, I think that obviously we don't need to bounce an artifact. We could go up to another of one mine potentially, since they have the Cannonade. With Cannonade and Cast into the Fire and Ram Through, actually, Dispel is not bad anymore. But I think it's just sort of like protective. Like, I don't need to dispel anything on the first couple of turns. So I think I would rather keep my general purpose counterspells and then just like other good cards to get my engine going, if that makes any sense. Like if I just draw counterspells on turn 1 and that keeps me from drawing an otherwise good hand, I think that's not the game I'm playing. So let's just run it back. And hopefully the sweepers don't get us. This is a mid-hand going second. Is the opponent going to keep? They will keep. I don't have the turn 1 ninja. I have a snap, but that's something I want to draw later. And Spell Stutter is going to be too slow to get anything done, especially in this hand, so I think I'm going to mulligan. Alright, this is looking better. That's looking really good, actually. My one problem is I need to find some card draw somewhere. I think I'm going to keep this and put back a snap at this point. I'd rather draw that in a later game. I have a very flexible turn 1 and 2 here, so if I can draw into the right stuff, I am looking pretty good. So because Arbor Elf relies on land enchantments to do amazing things, I think I'm going to decline to bind the monster this turn. I would rather get their land enchantment and then bind this down the turn after. And then, if none of those things happen, I can just flash in the Brine Barrow Intruder. Malevolent Rumble, that is also a fine Spell Pierce. And now they can play a land enchantment by tapping the Arbor Elf. Let's see if they do. They do not. Alright. So now do I play Bind the Monster, or do I hold up Counterspell? I think Bind the Monster is better. And I can still flash in the Intruder. They can start naturally playing Jewel Thieves and stuff like that. I don't think I have a way around it. Okay, them having a tap land is actually good for me. Brine Barrow. So here I can afford to actually Ninja, since I have a third land, and still hold up Counterspell, which is great. Or Spell Stutter, potentially. Or flash the Brine Barrow back in. This card is so good, man. I love Brine Barrow Intruder. Yes, we'll draw a card. And pass. I still have things to do, even if they don't do anything. I'm going to get my Spell Stutter value right now. Hopefully no Fiery Cannonade in response. Okay. Now they can drop a Jewel Thief if they want to. They don't have it. Awesome. So I can keep holding up this counterspell. Do good things with that. Another land drop might be good. Let's see what we draw. No ninjas. Okay. Yes. What's the worst card here? I like all these cards, to be honest with you. Maybe it is the land, actually. And should I play a Fairy Miscreant here? I think I won't, because of a potential Fiery Cannonade. Alright, I'll counter that. Now I'll do this. And we're going to push 5 here and pick the Spell Stutter back up, maybe? Maybe. Probably, yeah. Especially since we drew this other Brine Barrow. And at least I'm drawing cards here, so now if they sweep, it's not the end of the world. Ninja? Interesting. That's interesting. I think I dropped this Brine Barrow. Yes, draw a card. Fairy Miscreant, okay. So do I hold up Spell Stutter Sprite for like a land enchantment or something like that? I think so. This also looks like a counter spell, so... And if they want to sweep, then that means next turn I can rebuild with the 2 Miscreants. Okay. So let's see if we can actually get these Miscreants to resolve, huh? If the second one resolves, then I'm in good shape. It seems like they're tapped out, or they are F6'd. Draw a card. Okay, good. Let's attack. Snare Master Sprite is a nice card to close with. I'm now on a 2-turn clock. Discard a... I don't think we need another... I don't think we need a Ninja the Deep Hours. We don't need the persistent draw power that that offers if the game's about to end, ideally. And I don't need this land right now. So the game plan is Counterspell, or Spell Stutter Sprite, their Sweeper, and then tap down their Big Thing if they play both. And if they just play a Big Thing, that's okay. That's fine. I don't care about that. It's bait. It's bait. All right, GG's. We managed to pull it back with the 2-1 against Gruul Ramp. Really fun, shows the power of the deck, and I will see y'all in the next one. Alright, here we are. We have been paired up for our third round, and we are up against Ridiculous, something like that. So let's give him the GLHF. I sometimes forget. And I think it's a keepable hand, mostly on the back of the Faeries here, but that provides so much hand sculpting, and we can just keep this and send back the extra land, stuff like that. Up against another island deck, sure. Hopefully, as always, no Force Spike for our Faeries here. Double Snap is not really where we want to be. Those cards probably won't do much in this matchup, unless, I mean, even against like a Terror or something, we're probably just trying to go under it with Flyers. Please no Force Spike. Alright, it resolves, nice. And throw back the island, and we don't really need to, I mean, getting a human is actually nice, so I guess I'll keep this in case we find Of One Mind. But I still need a little bit of help to turn this into a real game plan here. Probably Lorien or Brainstorm? Brainstorm, sure. So let's see if they go for the upkeep Lorien or Thought Scour. A mental note would very quickly tell me what I'm up against. That would really... I would be very confident it is mono blue at that point. We're still in their upkeep. And let's see if they mill or if they cycle. Okay, they're cycling in their upkeep. Let's see if they pick up a tap land. That's a pretty common play pattern, and yes, it looks like a Dimir deck. So we might be up against another Dimir Control, Dimir Terror, Dimir Fae, a lot of different options. Against those options, I think generally speaking, Spell Stutter Sprite can answer a lot of their turn 2 plays. If I don't have anything to Spell Stutter Sprite, I'll just flash in the Brine Barrow Intruder, so let's go ahead and attack. I was having a conversation with some friends the other day about how Flash is really nice against removal decks. Because you just pass your turn, make them burn their mana that they held up, and then you flash things in on their turn. And while removal decks can get around that by just playing the removal at essentially sorcery speed. You can't play sorcery speed counter spells, you know what I mean? Okay, I could flash in a Spell Stutter Sprite right now, but I think it's a little bit of a waste. The Snacker's going to come back anyway. So what I could do here is... There's an Of One Mind, that's nice. Does it make sense to snap it, actually? That's pretty good tempo, if I'm honest with you. I still need to kind of put the rest of the turn together, but I think starting with a snap makes sense. They could have a Spell Pierce. Let's start with their land, in case it's a Force Spike. Do you have a Spell Pierce? Like, they do have ways to discard this with Modern Age or something like that, potentially, depending on exactly what they're running. Alright. So, I know this is awkward. I kind of want a Brine Barrow plus Of One Mind to try to find some ninjas, try to find something to do. They didn't Spell Pierce my Snap. Now this means that they can replay that Sneaky Snacker, which means that maybe I just shouldn't have bothered snapping, since I didn't really need the damage. That's a thinker. Alright, we could Fairy Seer. We're currently susceptible to Suffocating Fumes already. Should we actually make it a good play for them? I think I need to. I think I need to find some ninjas here. These snaps are minus card advantage. Ninjas are plus card advantage. I think I need to find them. There's one right there. And I don't think I really need another land at this point. So let's just take the Hacker. And we'll hope that they don't have a Suffocating Fumes or Arms of Hadar. So Consider to me says that this is a Terror deck. Because they have the Surveil. The Surveil card. I don't think you would just play this in a Dimir Control. You would rather play Preordains and Ponders. Probably Preordain. They choose to leave it on top though. So that might be a terror. It's too early to or they could just play it for 4. It's a Murmuring Mystic. Okay, that's fine. So I can snap that back. Can I counter it on the way down? I can if I play the Snare Master sprite. Can I do everything? So Snap is free. Hacker is 1, and Snare Master is 1. That means I can't do everything. Which means that maybe I don't Ninja this turn. In this specific spot, keeping the land on top would have been good. So we'll start with a Snap. They might be considering a Snuff out here. If they Snuff out, are they snuffing out a Fairy? No, they're snuffing out the non-Fairy. Okay. Interesting. Sure. Oh, they're doing double Snuff out. Okay, so against double Snuff out, there's nothing I can do. Untap these. So I can't get in with a Ninja at all anymore. And they're able to replay the Murmuring Mystic. They've used quite a bit of their value here. I can get in with Snap plus Snare Master, but then I'm 1 mana short of Ninja. What should I do? I think I'm just going to play Snare Master for 1 and pass the turn. And then hope to get some nice value out of this Spell Stutter sprite. It's still countering a 3-drop, but not the Murmuring Mystic. Hopefully they see this 2 mana and they're afraid. Sneaky Snacker. Do I just get value off of the Spell Stutter right now? I think I should. It lets me get in with a Ninja, and I don't have anything else to do on their turn anyway. And if they counter this, that's fine. I mean, it's not amazing, but it happens. Alright, now this is a really awkward position. Because I can't use Snap to force an attack in, and I've just got this Moon Circuit Hacker that's stranded. I think I need to play out a land, and then pass, and hope they do something silly, and that I find something good. Every single thing that they attack with is good for me. Maybe they reason that Sneaky Snacker is a free attacker. They're going to Deep Analysis. That's fine. It's slow. That's the way that it's fine. But they have plenty of value now. A Fairy Miscreant is good. That's good. They're having trouble hitting their 5th land. Let's play a Fairy Miscreant and pass. I think this game is pretty far out of reach at this point. Something that I would need to get back into the game would be maybe an Of One Mind. I would need to get in with this Moon Circuit Hacker for sure. Snapping back my Snare Master sprite to reuse its effect never really makes sense because then it'll be summoning 6, so it won't be an attacker. Okay, sure. They are going low. So maybe just surprising them with some face damage is the way forward. But they're leaving open 2 mana with which they can counter or destroy something. Alright, I think I need to try to snap on the Sneaky Snacker. If that gets countered, that's bad. And if a thing gets destroyed, that's bad. So I take it back. I'm just going to play an island and pass. They have plenty of value now, so they can play a Murmuring Mystic and probably back it up with some protection as well. Or just reason that even if they don't have the protection, it's fine because they have so many cards. Yep, now they can Murmuring Mystic plus Counterspell. Okay, that happens. Should I try to take it off the board on their turn? There's really no reason to do that since Snap is free. Unless it gets countered or... That's interesting. Okay, we'll take it. I think it... Do I snap the Mystic or a bird? I can't win the game if they keep this Mystic. They have too many cards for that to be realistic. We'll try the snap here. If they have a counter, they make a bird, and I don't even have the counter back. If they have a removal, then I'll keep playing. They have a counter spell. Let's concede and go next game. Alright, so that was definitely tough. Sneaky Snackers are a problem for sure. I always bring in Dispel in this matchup. And then I think I'm also going to bring in a Snare Master Sprite. At the end of the day, I just have to go faster than them, right? It's important that I leave open counter magic for their board wipes. They can play Arms of Hadar in the sideboard, and they probably play main deck Suffocating Fumes. So I have to remember that, so I have to worry about 3 mana and 4 mana breakpoints. Even though snaps were kind of interesting that game, I think ultimately having them not providing card advantage was a problem. I might have thrown the first one away too quickly. Bind the Monster is, I think, good against Snacker. Once it gets bound, they have to kind of use a removal spell on it to keep getting value back from it, so it's pretty much just gone. What else do I take out? Having 0 snap is tough, especially if they can resolve either the... Well, not really the Monarch, I'm not that afraid of that, but if they can resolve a Murmuring Mystic, then there's not much I can do. What I might need to do is take out an of one mind, just reasoning that they're outvaluing me already. That's not how I'm winning the game. And then do I still leave in 2 snap or not? No, I think all of these other cards are better. So then the question comes down to this. What's better, a snap or an of one mind? Since I'm going first, I think I can somewhat rely on ninjas, so I'm going to take out to get value for me. So I think I'll take out of one mind and just try to mulligan for an aggressive start. I think this is fine. Like, it's risky, of course, but we have a turn 1 into turn 2 hacker, which also gives us 2 looks for our second land, which is not a ton, but I think we gotta keep it. The opponent also starts with 7. Of course, a Fairy Seer would be much better here. I could just play a Fairy Miscreant, to be honest with you. No, let's leave open the potential for a Spell Pierce. And we don't really care about getting value out of the Brinebearer Intruder's ETB. Alright, so they're probably gonna fetch a... You know, what they most need is a Swamp in terms of how many of them in their deck and how easy it is to get black sources, but they might have black already. Alright, we have one more look here for a second land off of the Moon Circuit Hacker. Let's try to find it. They could also Lorien Revealed off of the Seething Landscape. That's possible. Land, please. Alright, pretty good, pretty good. We're in business. Now what do I do? Just pass again. I can play the other, play the Brinebearer that I just bounced. What do they fetch? And I'm now set up such that, you know, starting next turn, I can pretty consistently leave open 2 mana for Counterspell. Blue-black. Do they just play a Snacker? They play a Snuff Out. Okay, that happens. Now they play the Modern Age, which is fine. So now I can Ninja in the Deep Hours one. Ninjutsu in Ninja of the Deep Hours, I mean to say. Get another land. Is it the right time to put it in, or should I leave open a Counterspell for turn 3? I think I'm okay chilling, to be honest with you. We'll play a Miscreant and attack. Yes, they could just pass and do nothing, but I think that's a risk I have to take. I don't know, let me know what you think, if I should be more aggressive with my Ninja of the Deep Hours there and go below a Counterspell. I think I need to snap counter card draw, because those sneaky snackers will be too much value for me. And if they just play a land and pass here, I need to just accept the pass. Play an Aquifer, sure. Pretty good for them. Like, the important thing is we do have a clock here, even if it's not huge. And for them to do most of their impactful plays, they need to sort of tap out. Another counterspell. Okay. Let's attack. So if they brainstorm, we counterspell, they Suffocating Fumes, that's fine. We're not developing super high into board clears right now. We'll just pass. They brainstorm. We counter. And they only have black left. So that's another turn that we can keep those sneaky snackers off the table. They are about to get this Modern Age, which is going to be annoying, for sure. I'm kind of considering not playing the Brinebearer Intruder here. If I don't play it, and they keep just one blocker, then I can use that to protect my other attackers when I go in for the Ninja next turn. They play a Sneaky Snacker, which is good for sure. Okay. So now I think I need to... Island is good. Island is good. So what if they just block here and here, and then I trade with the Fairy Miscreant? So all I'm doing is taking the Sneaky Snacker off the table. I think that's okay because I have another counterspell. And if they don't block something, then the upside is just so good. At the end of the day, if I can counterspell their Murmuring Mystic, they are in a world of trouble. So what they could definitely do is brainstorm to tempt me to... That's interesting. Does that make sense? Yeah, they can block in either direction, right? Okay. So let's just save our Miscreant and put their Snacker into the graveyard. And we gotta say please, please, please no Brainstorm. Because I don't know if we can counter it, to be honest with you. Alright, that's fine. You know, I take it back. I think we have to counter the Brainstorm and hope they don't have Mystic if they play it there. So now I can just pass for a while because the board is sort of gummed up with this Vector Glider. So that's definitely a strength for them. I can force through a Ninja, which feels kind of bad, but every point of damage is important. And then if they remove that Ninja, how am I feeling after that? Like, bad is the answer. I think we just stay in a stalemate for a little while. I need to find more lands to make more flexible plays. I have 2 counter spells, so I can counter their big plays for a little while. Brainstorm is rough. We have to counter it. And then we have another one for their Mystic. Are they going to counter back here? We have to counter a counter spell. We have to counter another Brainstorm. We have to counter... Man, I wish I could play Graveyard Hate. Okay, that works. Alright. Is it time to Ninja? Yeah, I think so. It's annoying that they're going to get free value off of this Vector Glider. Honestly, probably the best card in the matchup. I mean, if they kill our Ninja, then we can Ninja again. That's always possible. Let's do it. I know that now they can put down their big thing and take over the game, but I think this is my best path forward. I gotta be kind of tricksy here. We'll draw a card. Yes. Alright. Can we play that island, or did we already play one? We already played one, which means we should just play a Miscreant. Just be a normal person, play the Miscreant, pass. Here is where they win, and we have suffering. We've already seen 2 Brainstorms, so hopefully they don't have another one that quickly. Okay, good. Now at least they can't develop whatever their threat is with a bunch of extra mana hanging around. Consider. Okay, that's a good start. They're looking for something to do that matters. Bojuka Bog doesn't matter, except that it's more mana. They also drew the Bojuka Bog off of the Consider, potentially. Alright, let's play a Fairy Seer. That's a very good draw. Of One Mind would be nice here. How many did I take out? Did I take out 2? I think I took 2 out. Snare Master is decent. Moon Circuit is not really needed right now. I already have another Ninja. I have 2 of One Mind in the sideboard. Let's pass. Now, could they develop their Murmuring Mystic or whatever with backup? Of course. But making them use their counter spells on the stack does help a bit, so they can't get instant birds off of it. Alright, there's 6 mana. That's the important amount. 5? 5 means a Lorien. I can counter a Lorien. Do you have counter magic? You don't. Okay. Good. Really important. So now let's go ahead and Snare Master. And to be honest with you, I think we have to Ninja as well, even though we're kind of dropping below stuff. They say sweet. Please no Brainstorm. I'm praying for no Brainstorm. Alright, let's attack. We'll pick up the Seer, of course. So we now have, we are 1 turn off lethal. Yes, use the ability. They could definitely have a sweeper. If they have a sweeper, I should hold back the Fairy Seer. I already have lethal on board, so let's hold back. That gives us the best chance to rebuild. Alright, and they scoop. Nice. Going into the next game, I think when we are on the draw, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think if we're on the draw, we do need more value. We don't have the ability to kind of just get them as much with just straight up tempo. So I think I'll put the Of One Minds back in and take out the Snap. The counter argument to that is that on the draw, we will not be at mana parity with them, so we might not be able to start holding up Counterspell as early. Can we start holding up Counterspell on turn 3? Sometimes. Sometimes. These games have been going long. I think even Divinations are fine. I'm going to submit like this. Definitely a bit of a risky hand versus Snuff Out, but that means that they can get a Swamp online by the end of their turn 2. That's pretty likely. I think I need to keep it, though. This Fairy Seer is going to resolve, and I can make sure to pick up, or I can really try to pick up my second land from that. They also started with 7. So let's see if they preserve their Brainstorms this time around to just use with the Spell Stutters. It's possible. That resolves. And Island is good, and Dispel is good. I think top with the Island on top, in case I can't draw off of the Moon Circuit Hacker. It didn't have any sort of cycling or anything at all. We're just going to play the Modern Age. That happens. Not much I can do about it. And I'm not playing any snaps anymore, so we're going to have to go around that thing. Spell Stutter is scary, but because we have a Dispel on top, I think that means we can Moon Circuit Hacker here and we don't have to hold up the counter spell, so we get to be a lot more aggressive. Did I say Spell Stutter is scary? I meant Sneaky Snacker is scary. Sorry about that. I'm not thinking. Okay, let's pass. Now, if they were going to Brainstorm, they would prefer to do it, of course, on my turn. But maybe as soon as I tap out, their logic is that's when they should do it, even if it's at sorcery speed. They pitch a Deep Analysis, which they could use to get back the Sneaky Snacker immediately. That does mean I can hit in with a Ninja again. And it also means that if they don't hit a land, they're going to have to discard, but I imagine that's not going to be a problem. They can either discard something they want in the yard, or they can find a land. They might be considering if it's okay for them to tap out. And I think it's a reasonable assumption that they can. Hopefully they feel like their mana is really important, and they just try to Brainstorm here to use less mana, which I could Dispel. Ultimately, it's possible that leaving this Dispel available was a mistake. It could have also been a Spell Pierce, though. I do play 2 Spell Pierce. And I think they might even know about one of them. Still no Swamps, so no Snuff Out coming in. And not much they can do with blue other than Brainstorm, Land Cycle, etc. Let's go with a... Let's draw first. I'm not sure what I'm discarding yet. It might be my top deck. Probably Fairy Miscreant from the looks of things, although that is my only Fairy. They go down to 13. Discard... Okay, I think a second Ninja of the Deep Hours is a fine discard. Although that might be a little sus to them. So I don't care about countering their end-step Brainstorm here. It doesn't matter. So let's just play the Fairies here. And then hold up Counterspell for the Murmuring Mystic. My mana is just wasted some of the time. I don't need that Ninja, but I will put Bind the Monster on top. Sorry if I just said something unintelligible. Brainstorm is okay. Lorien is okay. Are they going to take their Aquifer for the Snuff Out? Yes, okay. They do have the Modern Age. I wasn't super thinking about that. There was a reality where leaving up... I was going to say there's a reality where leaving up Counterspell doesn't make sense because they wouldn't really just drop the Murmuring Mystic with no backup, but they absolutely would if I was tapped out. 2 mana. The Of One Mind is really nice here. This is where having 1 mana draw 2 is crazy. If they Snuff Out, do I let that happen? I don't know the answer to that. Okay, pass. I do have to bind the monster, that's nice. This Vector Glider is never going anywhere, so I could bind the Sneaky Snacker or the Vector Glider. Let's start with Of One Mind. I was going to say, I have to make a proactive play. I'm glad that it was a land. That's good. I think here I just want to take a turn off of the aggression and play out another Fairy. I don't think they'll have the resources to fight me on this Counterspell. So I'm going to go down to Counterspell as my only interaction. Or Spell Stutter. So maybe they'll play a 4-mana card, which would be a Murmuring Mystic if they're playing around Spell Stutter. That's fine. So that means that they can safely... Okay, that means that they probably don't have a Suffocating Fumes. Because if they had a Suffocating Fumes, they would be... Another Modern Age? They can fight me on this. But I think I need to try to counterspell it. Hopefully they don't have a Spell Stutter Sprite. Have they played Spell Stutter Sprites this game? I can't remember if I've seen them. Oh, Modern Age gets through. Okay. Now, do they have an island into a Suffocating Fumes? That would be bad. They don't. Okay. So they're holding up open their own counterspell. No, they're probably holding open their own removal. Snuff Out at sorcery speed, sure. Spell Pierce is pretty good here, actually. I don't have counterspell anyway. So I think Spell Pierce means I just kind of... Do I double bind the monster? No, I can't do that. I can single bind the monster and then trade into their Sneaky Snacker. And then I have either Spell Pierce or Dispel. Either way, I'm not dealing with a creature. Let's do this. We're binding the 2/3. Oh, because I have Moon Circuit Hacker, I can actually double bind the monster. That's true. Man, Moon Circuit Hacker is so much better than Ninja of the Deep Hours. I love that card. Okay, that happens. Let's do another one. What do you have? Oh, that happens. That's really good. Okay, they do have the Sprite. Nice. What now? Just pass? Hope that they Lorien revealed, which I can Spell Pierce. I think so. Fair play, opponent. That was good. Brainstorm is... I was going to say it's fine, but you know what? I'll dispel that. How else am I using this card? If they counterspell, it's fine. Or is it? No, it has to be fine because they have 2 mana left. Yep. They have 2 mana left. So at this point, if they play a Modern Age, I have the Spell Pierce. If they have a Sneaky Snacker, that's bad for me. They play out their land. They will cycle it to break the Brainstorm, or fetch with it, and pass. Okay. My turn. I think I should pass again, although I could put a Moon Circuit Hacker into play. How do I feel if they counterspell my Moon Circuit Hacker? I think that's... well, I think I'll just pass. They're low on resources. I need to hope that they have Lorien revealed to, try to pull them back. I can Spell Stutter Sprite Brainstorms. I'm still in big trouble against Murmuring Mystic, because I'll only have 3 Faeries on board. 2 mana. We have to try the Sprite, so they're going to need another removal or a counterspell for this. They have the counterspell. Okay, that happens. Sure. They're going to start getting in. Okay. So Snare Master Sprite would be good here. I think I put in a third one. Fairy Seer is good. Let's try that. Setting up the draws, and I can Spell Pierce the response. Snare Master is good. So Snare Master will allow me to Moon Circuit Hacker, and then I can Island after that. I don't think I can take more lands. Let's pass. If they don't have a land, I can still Spell Pierce their Lorien revealed. 1 more mana. No! Okay. Fine. Fine. I lose those. Sure. I might just play a Ninja of the Deep Hours here. Or play a Moon Circuit Hacker. Let's play a Moon Circuit Hacker. I don't think it's the time to Snare Master Sprite. So they might just leave one thing back here, which I could then Snare Master Sprite plus Spell Pierce. Agony Warp happens, unfortunately. I have the wrong types of counters. I have an island on top. No, I threw away the island. Okay, that's good. There's a Spell Stutter. Let's play a Snare Master and pass and not use it. Now I have Spell Stutter plus Spell Pierce. Although that's not a good pairing. The Spell Pierce will never work. Unless they draw first. Then it could work. And when I say draw first, oh jeez. Okay, I need to Spell Stutter that. And then they can get it back. Okay. That happens. I need something here. I have 3 of One Mind in the deck. Okay, that's ambitious. Makes sense. I probably should have traded with the Spell Stutter Sprite there off of the Snare Master. They've got a clock on me. Dispel means that I can do literally nothing. Right now, they have 5 damage coming at me. I think I play a Ninja of the Deep Hours and hope it resolves. It does. So if they attack with... I'm fully tapped out. I have nothing. I'm not sure how I'm going to block right now. Let's see what happens. Technically, the match clock could be a factor. You're going to hard cast the Snuff out. Okay. Sure. So my logic is this. If they have card draw, I lose. So I'm going to block the Sneaky Snacker. That means that I can survive a turn without getting a creature. It's a counter spell. We pass. I can counter anything, and I can fight it with the Dispel, with a Spell Pierce. But I need something next turn. I need to chain something into something. A Snare Master would be ideal. But they're just going to keep hitting me because they're the aggro, and they need me to find an answer. I will Dispel a Consider. I will counter a Spell Stutter Sprite. I don't think I can find anything. Maybe of One Mind into the right couple of cards. Brine Barrow does not keep me alive because these are flyers. Alright, GG opponent. GG, what a match. Alright, concede. Very close game. Pretty cool one. I think that overall they probably have the advantage, if I'm going to be honest. Just the fact that they can play sweepers is important. It is hard for them to resolve their big mana plays sometimes, but if they can, and if they can force me to not spend my mana and sort of like threaten that without actually doing anything, then it also sets back my tempo. So let me know what you think of that game. If you think I should have been more aggressive at certain points, or if you saw any other misplays, I'd be happy to hear about it. But we are 2-1. Let's go ahead and go into match 4. All right, we are in match 4 up against Luffy. Definitely a very strong player, well-known affinity player. I think that Faeries have a... Oh, we are going second, unfortunately. Okay, so if we're going second, I think this hand of Counterspell and not much else is not really going to do anything, so I need to mulligan and find some of the key engine. That's a 1-lander. Is there anything that we can do with it? We do have a Fairy Seer, so I think this has got to be a keep. And I'm just going to put back the second of One Mind and say done. So if they lead on a tap land here, and they do, I think here I need to not Fairy Seer on 1, actually. I think it's better to lead on an island, and then Brine Barrow, Intruder, or Spell Pierce. And if they just play another tap land and take the turn off, that is... okay, that's interesting. Alright. Yep. So they are playing around the Spell Pierce and other stuff of that nature. Krark is not going to do a ton in this matchup for them. Let's go ahead and attack. Having 1 land only in play for a couple of turns doesn't feel amazing, but I don't think we can tap out and play the Fairy Seer. 2 mana for a cast down. I think I can Spell Pierce that. It's fine. Even though it's not the priority thing to interrupt. They have more important stuff happening eventually. Let's just get the value out of the Spell Pierce while we can. So if I don't play another land, that's telling them that I definitely have something to do. But the truth is I do, and I need to do it. So let's go ahead and just attack and pass. We need to prevent them from getting their affinity count up too high. If they play a Mirror Enforcer here, just like an untapped land into a Mirror Enforcer, that's troublesome for sure. Deadly Dispute. Okay, that's going to be a Dispel for sure. And they had to dispute a land, which is good. Second Deadly Dispute is okay. So they're going to draw off of that one. Swing for 1. Hopefully we naturally pick up a land here. That would be good. And we did. Alright, awesome. So we can go ahead and play a land, play a Fairy Seer, and then still leave up this Spell Pierce. I don't really need Snap or Counterspell at the moment, to be honest. Let's attack. Another land drop. Okay, they keep hitting them. It's fine. So... Alright, the Spell Pierce didn't do much because they're reasoning they can just Deadly Dispute at instant speed. That makes sense. But we can still play the of One Mind here. Might as well play our island first, I suppose. Okay, super flooded, so let's just go ahead and attack and pass. Alright, we're passing back and forth, so I think their reasoning is that eventually they're going to start doing something crazy, whereas I need to be the tempo player. So that makes sense. I will pass. At least I have all my land drops, so that part is good. Let's play a Fairy Seer. So we still have Counterspell and Spell Pierce. I'm looking for ninjas. At this point, Spellstutter sprites are okay. I think I'll Counterspell bottom, Sprite top, because they don't have a good way to deal with these flyers, just off of the Krark Clan Shaman. We need to Counterspell their Mirror Enforcer when they play it. We'll take 1. Alright. We're both just getting land drops here. I will attack 3. Unfortunately, Snap on a Mirror Enforcer does not do anything. Thoughtcast is, at this point they have so much mana. Do we just tax that? I think that makes sense. We'll just tax the Thoughtcast. And then Counterspell a Refurbished Familiar. Another Fairy would be nice, so I could Spellstutter a Refurb. We'll take 1. Alright, another Spellstutter is okay. Weirdly enough, my clock has been really helped by the Brine Barrow Intruder here. Maybe I don't Counterspell the... I was going to say, maybe I don't Counterspell the Mirror Enforcer, maybe I Counterspell the Bargain, but I can Spellstutter the Bargain. Take 1. Refurbished Familiar is really annoying. Let's counter that. And a Blood Fountain. We can Spellstutter that and a Makeshift Munitions. Okay, that resolves. So they can ping down my entire board if they want to, which will happen. Very spooky. So I think in this matchup, I'm supposed to bring in some Red Elemental Blasts, so we'll keep that in mind. And an island is really not where I want it to be. I never found any ninjas. So, is this snap doing anything for me? Not really. I cannot spell stutter anything anymore because they can just makeshift munitions in response. Let's attack. I probably needed to let the blood fountain resolve, especially since they only had one refurb in the yard. So that's a mistake that I made. Don't block. Galvanic Blast. Let's try to snap it back to hand. They will bargain their Krat Clan Shaman, sure. Yes. Fine. Let's discard an island. And let's flash in the Brine Barrow. That happens. And then should I flash in the Spell Stutter now? Okay. And they should kill this. Yep. Alright. Another Spell Stutter is interesting. Let's offer this trade, I guess. Do I? Or am I winning with a Snare Master Sprite? I don't want to give them this as basically ammunition. And they're forced to block in case I have a Ninja the Deep Hours. At this point, they have found a lot of lands. They're in the land half of their deck, considering how many they have already sacrificed. Which I don't know how many that is. Let's just put this into play and have them makeshift munitions it, I guess. As soon as they find Mirror Enforcers, Blood Fountains, they are in business. Ichor Wellspring is fine. Ichor Wellspring is fine, I guess. So they're no longer able to kill my Brine Barrow. Unless they have a Galvanic Blast. So hopefully here I pick up a Ninja of the Deep Hours. They have the Galvanic Blast. Okay. Snap that. Of one mind. Find some lands. Let's play one. And pass. You should probably start machine gunning these at my face. They're at an effective... Alright, let's concede. No way I can beat that. So we have a ton of sideboard, though, for Affinity. With all of the annuls. Steel Sabotages. And I think in this matchup... So we have Blue Blast for their makeshift munitions and Galvanic Blast. And Krat Clan Shaman, which they're taking out, so it doesn't matter. And also for their Red Blasts. I don't know how many of these I'm supposed to put in. I think I'll do 4, and then let's see what I can afford to take out. I think it's only supposed to be 2, actually. We'll put in the Dispel as well. Alright. Bad cards in the matchup. I think Spell Pierce is interesting, because it does hit the early Ichor Wellspring, but so does Annul. Annul is just better. So I think I would rather take out the Spell Pierces. I might take out some number of Counterspell. But I don't think I'm supposed to do that. I think Skura said no taking out Counterspell. So that leaves 8 things still to take out. I think Snap is bad. Spell Stutter Sprite is kind of mid because they have some expensive stuff, but it still counters some early, it counters Deadly Disputes, Bargains, Ichor Wellsprings. It counters their value for the most part. So I like those. We're on the play, so we're going to be trying to go more aggressive this game. For that reason, I could take out I'd be taking out Spell Pierce for that reason. There is a sideboard guide, by the way. Just plugging the sideboard guide that Skura has. I haven't gotten a chance to take a look at it. But he does have one on his Patreon. It might be wrong. I'm going to take out at least one counter spell just because I have the cheaper counters now. And I think I'll trim an Of One Mind. I'll trim one Brine Barrow, but not go lower than that because I still want to keep generally the Of One Mind package together. And because I did that, I guess I can trim a Snare Master. Okay, let's try that. Very sort of all over the place sideboard plan. My plan, by the way, because I don't have a plan, but I just like winging it when it comes to sideboards. That's just me. Alright. So we have a turn 1. We'll keep. You've got the Blue Elemental Blast for the makeshift munitions, so that can't just take over the game. I think I'm just going to play a Fairy. Nope. And if they drop the turn 2 munitions, I can just kill it with a Blue Blast. Insta Pyro. Okay, that's fine. So that means I've got to go on the defensive here. And I was even about to pick up the cheap Ninja too. Alright, let's pass. Maybe there's a chance I'm supposed to hard cast a Moon Circuit Hacker there, but I don't think so. They've got red to blast or to Pyroblast or Galvanic Blast one of my creatures. I got an island. I think I'll just hard cast a Moon Circuit Hacker. That resolves. I still have the Blue Blast or the Dispel, but I don't have the counterspell for the Ichor Wellspring anymore. They do have to play around a Null and Steel Sabotage, though. Heal Spellbomb doesn't matter. That's fine. And let's dispel that. Okay, let's get a little bit of hand fixing off of this Moon Circuit hacker here. Another Blue Blast is good. I think I'm actually just going to pick it up and put in the Ninja of the Deep Hours, which is, I know, a little bit wonky. But this way I can actually accumulate some card advantage, and I do have 1 mana interaction in my hand. It just takes me off of counterspell, basically. This is not something that I have to repeatedly ninjutsu in and out, so that part's good. It looks like we're going to see maybe a Mirror Enforcer or Refurbished Familiar. I don't have an answer to refurb. So let's just discard a counterspell, I think. Especially because they probably put in... Luffy plays 5 Pyroblast, at least 4. So let's discard a counterspell. I'll Blue Blast that. And then if they munitions, that's fine. I have another. Cast it, countering a red spell. Deadly Dispute on a land is fine. They do not pick up another Elemental Blast, okay. And an all is good. We'll just take a turn off here. We could also just hardcast a Moon Circuit Hacker. That would be fine. Alright, let's do it. I'm getting the Ninja half of my deck, which is a little awkward, for sure. Thoughtcast resolves. That gets annulled. Wellspring is fine. They can start to play Mirror Enforcers whenever they get them. I think I'll offer the trade with the Moon Circuit Hacker here. And then if they don't block, I can just loot away the island, potentially. I'm just doing it that way because I don't want them to get more value out of blocking the Ninja of the Deep Hours. No need to play this island here. We might use it for something. As discard fodder, I mean to say. Mirror Enforcer. That has to get countered, I think. Let's see how many they have. Deadly Dispute happens. Galvanic Blast, I'll Blue Blast that. Blood Fountain to get all that value back, so we need to get some amazing draws off of this Ninja of the Deep Hours. Not a good start. Let's attack. They have 7 going on 8 mana in play. Let's use the ability. And I think that's probably going to be all she wrote. Let's keep all of these islands as discard fodder for the refurbs that they might be getting back. Yep, double refurb. Makes sense. There's one. Discard an island. There's another. Discard an island. And they are looking for their next, bit of value coming up. We'll play a Fairy Miscreant. And pass. Ultimately, we were not able to keep them from getting their own engine going. Game 1, they just had a lot of natural land drops. Reckoner's Bargain on the Spell Bomb, drawing 3. Mirror Enforcer has to happen. Yeah, we weren't able to disrupt them sufficiently, and we did not have the aggression we needed to get things going. So as someone who is not a frequent player of this deck, I would like to know if there was something I could have done a bit better here. Let's just... I think this is unwinnable at this point. I'm going to go ahead and scoop, take the dignified way out, as Anton Chigurh would say, and move on into round 5. Currently, we are 2-2. Let's see if we can rescue the league and get a 3-2. See you in the next one. We have found our final round here. We lost the dice roll. We have a 1-lander into Brine Barrow Intruder, and no ninjas in particular. I think I have to mulligan this one. Let's look for something a little bit better. This time, it looks like a pretty good hand. We have a turn 1 Fairy Seer into a turn 2 Moon Circuit Hacker Plus, or a turn 2 Ninja of the Deep Hours. I think I've got to keep this one and throw back an island. Decent start. Wish I had 7 cards, but you can't always get what you want. They're starting on a Forest into a Findorn Elves. Alright, Elves, gotcha. I don't think we really have the sweepers that we would like to have for this sort of deck, so we need to counter their impactful stuff when it's coming down. Take out the Dispels and Spell Pierces, probably, even though Spell Pierce can hit Winding Way and lead the Stampede. I don't know if it's worth keeping. Probably just play the Fairy Seer here. I don't see any other play, really. Snap is decent. So is Of One Mind. Next turn, we can Moon Circuit Hacker into replay the Fairy Seer. So we won't need the Snap immediately. Or, sorry, we won't need the Of One Mind immediately, but Snap, on the other hand, might be important to sort of just... take them off of some tempo. So I'm going to put Of One Mind on top, and then put Snap on top of that. And hope that that logic makes sense. There's the Lead the Stampede. Okay. Picking up a lot of value here, but they will have to discard 1. They'll drop a Forest. Okay, so they still have these 4 things in hand. Gotcha. Because it's just a Findorn Elves, I could consider leaving it on the board and just snapping later. I was going to say it should be Ninja of the Deep Hours, but maybe I should just Moon Circuit Hacker so I could replay the Fairy Seer. Ninja does trade better, but I don't think that matters at this point in the game. They've got multiple Priest of Titania. I'd rather snap that. Or Timberwatch. So I think I'm going to just attack. Moon Circuit Hacker, I almost missed the ninjutsu. Draw the Of One Mind. They take damage. Play the Fairy Seer out. Let's try to find land number 3. There's one. And I think Spellstutter Sprite is also perfectly fine. How do I feel about this order? I don't think it matters. I'll go top. Because we're going to draw first thing with Of One Mind too anyway, I think. And then we will just pass. They're going to elect to pay... okay, Priest into Priest. Is that what's happening? Yes, it is. Okay. So that happens. So I think here I would like to play our land, snap 1, untap, Of One Mind, and then just swing for 3, leaving open Spellstutter Sprite, or Counterspell if they play a Timberwatch first. And I don't think I want to keep the Spell Pierce. Let's see if we get something worse. I think we're more likely to want 2 Counterspells than a Counterspell and a Spell Pierce, to be honest with you. So we'll get rid of that. We're getting into the mid-game where our mana is not quite as constrained. And they don't have a ton of targets for the Spell Pierce. We'll Spellstutter Sprite. That should happen. Yep. So they still have a lot of mana here, of course. So that's 4 more mana, with which 5 more mana, with which they can play Well-Wisher and Timberwatch, I suppose. Okay, what have we seen? I haven't been paying attention. They played a Llanowar, both Titanias, and now they're going to lead the Stampede. Okay, that does happen. We weren't going to do anything about that. They just find 2 Quirion Ranger. Okay. They play a Quirion. They can reuse the Priest of Titania and do everything this turn. Winding Way. Okay. They're really chaining off. They will miss with the Winding Way and the Forest. Another Quirion. So they can just play a Generous Ent here if they want to. That might be the move. So this doesn't really feel like a good matchup. I don't have enough early counters to keep them off of their mana engine, although they were just able to like chain off like crazy this time, so that is true. What do I need here? Like a snap? I think this is not winnable. Let's try Of One Mind. Yep, let's just go next game. Once the opponent has sort of taken the lead like that, I don't think it's possible anymore. Bind the Monster is decent here. That takes them off of their mana creatures, their mana dorks. Snare Master is okay. And then I think we need to take out the Dispels. Maybe they're going to start doing things at instant speed. They don't have... It's not very easy for them to play Sweepers, except Sandstorm. I guess they could play Sandstorm. That's green, right? Or is that red? What is Sandstorm? I can't remember because I played it in Gruul Ramp. Sandstorm is in green, and it's all attacking creatures. So that might be something we have to worry about, but I don't think we can overboard into it, if they might not even play it. Let me actually quickly look at elf sideboards. They can sideboard, negate, prohibit. Okay, but this is a distant melody build. Is that common? So in green, they have Spider Silk Armor. Alright, which is not affected by Dispel. So what's the last cut here? Maybe a 2-mana counterspell? Maybe it's too hard to play? We just don't have the time? Maybe a Brine Barrow Intruder because it's not that impactful, but it does block well. I heard that you don't really drop any counter spells in this deck. So I think I'm gonna go... I think I'm gonna remove the Snare Master Sprite. Just because we don't really care about tapping one thing in particular unless we have to get through a Generous Ent. And if they play a Generous Ent, I think we've already lost the game. We have to mulligan a No-Lander. And this isn't great, but I think we have to keep it and just throw back our 4th land. At least they also have to mulligan. That's good. Say done. We do have the turn 2 Spellstutter Sprite for the Priest of Titania. So I think that's important. Don't need these. Put all the trash in the bottom. So there are 3 islands in the bottom of the deck. And there are 3 here, so there are only 12 more in the middle of the deck. Fyndhorn Elves does resolve. Yep. Let's just attack. So, yeah, I definitely shouldn't tilt. They had a ton of card draw that game. I think they had 3 or 4 Winding Ways and Lead the Stampedes, which cannot chain together, by the way. So maybe that's not going to be a typical play pattern that I'll see in this matchup. They're going to be on 3 mana here if they find a land. But I think they're thinking about if they want to play into the counter magic that I could have. Play a forest. Okay. So they're chilling. They're chilling. They could just play their Timberwatch here. It plays around spell stutter even though it doesn't play around counterspell. Yep, they do it. Alright, that's fine. And let's put in the Brine Barrow Intruder. Very well played by the opponent there, seeing that I could only counter something with 2 CMC or below. Snap, though, is going to be good. I think I definitely have to snap that, right? Fine, let's do it. And then let's attack. And let's Ninja on the Brine Barrow here to hopefully pick up another fairy that I can pair. No, I can't pick up another fairy to pair with Spellstutter Sprite. So there's no use worrying about it. So I think in that case, I should Ninja on the Faeries here. Yep, that's what I'll do. With that logic, it could be possible that I wasn't supposed to snap there. I should have held off a bit. We'll see how this goes. Draw 1. Island is fine. That's just about as many as I need for the rest of the game. Okay. So by picking up the Brine Barrow there, I still would have been able to counter the Priest of Titania, so maybe that was a misplay. I think I was so focused on being able to deal with the Timberwatch that I forgot about the other play they could have. I think Miscreant goes on bottom. There aren't that many impactful... Yep, there's the Priest of Titania. Okay, so that was, I think, a misplay right there. For sure. They've got the Well-Wisher. Okay. So they do have the option to block a Moon Circuit Hacker. I'm going to offer them that trade. If I'm getting rid of Elves, I'm perfectly fine. Did I keep this on top? I bought them both, didn't I? Let's attack. And they probably just don't block with the Well-Wisher because I don't think denying my card draw is worth that much. I think they would rather just get more mana off of this Priest of Titania. Next turn, they can drop a Generous Ascent, and if they have it, I lose the game. If I don't find a counterspell here. If I do find a counterspell here, I can hang on. They were thinking about that one for a while. Yes, let's draw. And discard a... Honestly, I think the Spell Pierce is worth more than another land, even if they have, like, 8 mana. So the Timberwatch is still going to happen. I still haven't found another elf, or another fairy. 4 mana. Another Timberwatch. I think it's over. I think it's over. Anything to do with that last mana? They know I have a Spell Stutter in hand, right? No, they don't. I haven't done it yet. They know they've been very intentionally playing around the Spell Stutter. That part is true. Does it make sense to put it into play? I don't think so. Of One Mind is a good start. But these Timberwatches can kind of solo. We still don't have another... I think... so we still don't have another fairy to pair with the Spellstutter Sprite to counter a Timberwatch. So I think I need to snap back the Priest of Titania. Take them off of their mana. And I can attack now. And if they want to trade a Timberwatch for a Moon Circuit Hacker, that's fine. They don't. Okay, so I get to loot away this land. I'm going to be really land dry in the second half of the game because I've been bottoming and discarding all of them. Discard an island. And say go. Now, because I took their Priest of Titania off the table, and I can hopefully counter it, this Spell Pierce might actually do something. Elvish Mystic is fine. But they can really start to aggro me down here, and they can still out-heal me, so these Timberwatches are a problem on their own. I did let that Elvish Mystic through, even though I could have countered it. That might have been wrong. And they're just going to pass. Interesting. Okay. So, let's go in again. They could double block a Brine Barrow. So this can't really attack. I think I attacked with this before, and they didn't do anything about it. Maybe they're playing around Mutagenic Growth. That would make sense. Let's attack. I'm going to offer to trade... Oh, no, I can't offer to trade the Moon Circuit Hacker because they're just going to Defensive Timberwatch. So I can get in for 1 because I have no Reachers. And then Ninja. Maybe Moon Circuit Hacker was better there. It was better because now I don't have the Spell Stutter on the... Oh, man, this is hard, actually. Now I can't Spell Stutter the Priest of Titania when that comes back down. Okay. A couple of misplays here because I'm trying to play quickly. You would think this stuff doesn't matter, but it really does. Alright, at this point I might as well replay the Fairy Seer. Spell Pierce I don't need, Island I don't need. And I think here, if they didn't have me before, I think here they have me. The whole point of how I've been playing this game is to try to keep them off the Priest of Titania and make them get in with creature beats if they were going to get in at all. And I just gave them an out to play the Priest. I think it's over, but I'm going to keep playing it out for academic purposes. That's fine. Let's see what they swing with. 1 mana. Cycle a Generous Ascent, sure. Maybe I can at least keep them off of a Winding Way or something. This is an enchantment. You can just exile my Moon Circuit Hacker. Sure, that'll happen. Do I chump that? I'm not going to chump it, but I am going to Brine Barrow it. I could have definitely just, like, pre-Brine Barrowed. They might keep one back just to be defensive. Okay. And I think that's going to be the game. Alright, we'll take 13. This was a really weird game where, like, we had simultaneously too many and not enough lands. That was strange for sure. This Ninja of the Deep Hours does have an attack. The Brine Barrow kinda does. But we might want to chump with... We'll leave one back. Let's go 1, 2, 3. So currently they block this for free, or they can kill... They could just kill it by sacrificing a Well-Wisher. I think they just block it for free. We're likely to play a creature to block with, right? We're dead anyway. Let's just full swing. Reusing one of these cards does not really do that much for me right now. Well-Wisher, sure. They're going to block the big one. Fine. We'll Moon Circuit Hacker in on the Brine Barrow, I think. That's what I want to chump block with. Can I still do this? I didn't know I could do this. Past the blocking step? I haven't played a ninjutsu deck before. Okay. Will it deal damage? Will it deal 5 now? Oh, it might have. What happened? I'm a little confused. Oh well. Regardless, they have super lethal, right? And they can just buff whatever's not blocked. Alright. GG, well played. Honestly speaking, that was amazingly played by the opponent. They outplayed my Spellstutter Sprite at every turn. And I kept falling into their non-traps, just not counting correctly. It's fine. We got a 2 and 3. Let's go into the outro. See you in a second. Hey everybody, welcome back. And we have another 2-3 in the books. Of course, that's a little bit disappointing, but this does happen. And I think this deck still felt really sweet to play, so I hope that you don't let that discourage you from trying it out for yourself. Overall, if I had to look back at the games and summarize things, I am still pretty happy with how the first 2 went. Of course, those were wins, so that might be biasing me a little bit. But I felt like we had well-fought games against that Dimir Fae deck, as well as against Gruul Ramp, and I think that beating Gruul Ramp was really cool, especially since that's sort of the boogeyman of decks like this. And then I think we also had a really interesting, really well-fought game in round 3 against the more control-y Dimir Control deck. I think the last game came down to we were both at 5 life or so and just trading a creature here and there. It was really close, a really close 1 and 2. The last 2 rounds were, of course, a little bit more of a blowout. One against Luffy, who I have no shame in losing to at all. He's the best affinity pilot, bar none, at least on MTGO. And then the other loss was against that Elves player whose name, I'm sorry, I don't quite remember. And I think that towards the end, especially when things were really going south, I did make a couple of misplays into those decks, especially against the Elves opponent at the end of the league when I was already behind and I was facing down 2 Timberwatch Elves. To be honest, I made a lot of misplays, which I was calling out during the game. I don't think they really would have taken me back into the game. I don't think that was very winnable. But of course, I still want to call out those misplays, like the sequencing stuff with Spellstutter Sprite and bouncing a fairy instead of a non-fairy, so I wasn't able to counter the Priest of Titania. That wasn't good, but I don't think I was getting through those 2 Timberwatches. Regardless, though, again, I hope you still really enjoyed the games, and let me tell you, this is the next deck that I'm building in Pauper. It's so enjoyable, and I think that says something when you just really like a deck and love to bring it to new tournaments and, locals, FNMs, whatever. Keep trying it, even when you're losing. To me, that's what I love about Magic. It's not all about winning. It is about having fun, even if I can get a little sweaty about it sometimes. So, let me know what you think of the deck. Let me know if you think mono blue fairies are well positioned in the current meta, or if you feel like, Skura's tournament runs were just a fluke. That's valid. Go ahead and leave a comment. and a like and a subscription as well would really help the channel too. I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next Pauper video. See ya.